कुञ्ज विहारे जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारे जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारे जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारे जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Vajracharya Stottar Sat Sri Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Samaye Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki. ISKCON founder Acharya BBT founder Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Vajracharya Stottar Sat Sri Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki. Namachar Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vyasadeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syam Kunda Radha Kunde Giri Govardhan ki. Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki. Navdeep Mayapur Dham ki. Purushottam Chaitri Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Ganga Maiya ki. Yamuna Maiya ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulsi Maharani ki. Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Śrīla Prabhupada Lilamrta ki. Nitai Gaur Pramanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtipraye Subhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta, volume 2 and chapter number 5, free to preach. So we'll start chapter number 5. Before that, let us start with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guraha Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varsavhanavi Devi Daitaye Krapabde Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Sakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dhvantaharine Namo Gauri Kisoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamvara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namo Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Sakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gaura Virvava Bhume Swam Nirdesta Sanjan Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathayate Nama Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvise Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Saktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatmate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jaitam Surto Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Mat Sarvasva Padambojo Radha Madan Mohano Devyadvindaranya Kalpadramadha Śrīmad-Ratnāgara Simhāsanisto Śrīmad-Radha Śrīla Govinda Devo Prestalabi Sevamano Smarami Śrīman-Rasarasarambe Vamsi Vattatadahistita Karshan Venur Swaner Gopir Gopinata Sriyastana Tapte Kanchane Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So as every Ekadasi, we are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta, volume 2, chapter number 5, entitled as Free to Preach. So till now we have seen that how Srila Prabhupada reached America, and then he was staying in the house of Gopal Agrawal, and subsequently Prabhupada left that house, and then he started staying in the yoga studio of Dr. Mishra. And then Prabhupada first was staying with him, along with him, but then because he was not free to preach there, because he was not allowing Prabhupada to speak freely, so that is why Prabhupada subsequently moved to his another house. And yeah, so that's where Prabhupada was staying till now. And then now we will see that how Prabhupada even will leave that place, and then he will start his own place, and that's where he will be free to preach. So let us start now. Here I am sitting in New York, the world's greatest city, such a magnificent city, but my heart is always hankering after that Vrindavan. I shall be happy to return to my Vrindavan, that sacred place. But that, why are you here? But then, why are you here? Now, because it is my duty, I have brought some messages for you people. Because I have been ordered by my superior, my spiritual master. Whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries, and you must distribute this knowledge. So in spite of all my difficulties, all my inconveniences, I am here, because I am obligated my duty. From a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Room 307 was never meant for use as a residence or ashrama or lecture hall. It was only a small, narrow office without furniture or a telephone. Its door held a large pane of frosted glass, the kind common in old offices. Above the door was a glass-paned transom. Prabhupada placed his blankets on the floor before his metal footlocker, which now became a makeshift desk where he wrote. He slept on the floor. There was no facilities here for cooking or even for bathing, so daily he had to walk to Dr. Mishra's apartment. When he had lived in the room 501 at Dr. Mishra's yoga ashrama, Dr. Mishra had finances needs, but now Prabhupada was on his own, and whatever he could raise by selling his books, he would have to use for his daily maintenance and for the monthly rent of $72. He noted that for a little powdered chili, the West and Suprate charge 25 cents, 10 items what he would have paid in India. He had no guaranteed income. His expenses had increased and his physical comforts had reduced, but at least he had his own place. Now he was free to preach as he liked. He had come to America to speak about Krishna, and even from the beginning he had found the opportunity to do so. Whether at an informal get-together in the Agrawal's living room, or before a formal gathering at the Butler Lions Club, Dr. Norman Brown's Sanskrit class, Dr. Mishra's yoga studio, or the Tagore Society, but he didn't attach much importance to lecturing where the people who gathered would hear him only once. This was the main reason he wanted his own building in New York, so the people could come regularly, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam in his company, and hear him speak from Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So see, we can see here, Srila Prabhupada, right from the beginning, Prabhupada was not thinking that I will just give lecture once. Just like we also conduct some programs like in colleges, one-time program. But then we don't leave that place immediately, because there is no use if we just do one-time program. We have to cultivate the people. And Prabhupada, right from the beginning, he has the desire to cultivate the people. He never attached much importance to lecturing where the people who gathered would hear him only once. Similarly, in our preaching style also, we see that how we do that. Wherever we go, we want to cultivate the people. If you just give lecture once and you can tell so much importance, but after some time they will not follow it. So that has to be, cultivation has to be there always. Moving out of the yoga studio into the small office downstairs gave Prabhupada what he was looking for. His own place, but not even euphemistically could that place be called a temple. His name was on the door. Anyone seeking him there could find him. But who would come there? By its opulence and beauty, a temple was supposed to attract people to Krishna. But room 307 was just the opposite. It was where poverty, but even a person interested in spiritual topics would find it uncomfortable to sit on the rugless floor of a room shaped like a narrow railroad car. So this is where Prabhupada was spending his initial days of preaching Krishna consciousness in US. One of the Dr. Mishra's students had donated a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and Prabhupada recorded some of his solitary bhajans, which he sang to his own accompaniment of hand cymbals. He also recorded a long philosophical essay, Introduction to Gita-Upanishad. Even if no one attends, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati had told him, you can go on chanting to the four walls. But since he was now free to speak his masses in the new situation God has provided, he decided to lecture 3 evenings a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to whoever could come. So this is how three days in a week. Similarly, we also some in our preaching style also, like His Grace Radha Samprabhu suggests that you should not only Sunday to Sunday or weekly programs should not be there. There has to be some MMC so that some regular touch is there. It's not that once in a week you go and then everything is done. I mean, twice in a week there has to be regular touch physically, and then once in a week you have to have a phone call also. So that cultivation can be proper. His first audiences consisted many of people who had heard about him or met him at Dr. Mishra's yoga studio. And despite the poverty of his room, the meeting became a source of new life for him. March 18, he expressed his optimism in a letter to Sumati Morarji. I was very much encouraged when you wrote to say, I feel that you should stay there until you fully recover from your illness and return only after you have completed your mission. I think these lines dictated by you are the words of Lord Balakrishna expressed to your goodness. You will be pleased to know that I have improved my health back to normal and my missionary work is nicely progressing. I hope my project to start a temple of Sri Radhakrishna will also be realized by the grace of the Lord. Since I came to New York from Butler, Pennsylvania, I have rented the above room at $70 per month, and I am delivering lectures on Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, accompanied by Sankirtan, and the American ladies and gentlemen come to hear me. You will be surprised to know that they do not understand the movement, the language of Sankirtan, yet they hear with attention. The movement which I have started here is completely new to them, because the Americans are generally acquainted with the Indian yoga gymnastic as performed by some Indian yogis here. They have never heard of the bhakti cult of the science of Krishna before, and still they are hearing me. This is a great success for me. So Prabhupada is celebrating the success. And what is the success? Just some people are coming, and that also they are not very regular. Some people are coming and some lecture is going on, that's it. But so to speak, his movement did not start till the time he did not, he did not establish ISKCON and officially, because till then he was only having one follower, and that was also intoxicated, right? And this is now almost 1 year back. But Prabhupada is now only, he is telling that I am very happy to see my, I'm getting success. And subsequently we will see that now he has written this letter to Sumati Morarji, and later on he writes a letter that I am very happy that this one person, I think some places his name is Paul and other places his name is David. So Prabhupada writes that this person, David, is taking interest in Krishna consciousness, and I want to train him, I want to take him to India and train him in Krishna consciousness. But what happened subsequently? We know that that person was intoxicated, he was mad fellow actually. He tried to attack Prabhupada. But here we see that Prabhupada is more for him, even little things were also, has so much value in beginning. So, and he never got disappointed. Of course, we know that many times Prabhupada used to go to, Jalduta, and he used to ask when the return trip is there. But then still Prabhupada used to come back. Because Prabhupada always used to say that I am not the man to get disappointed. So that's how preaching goes. It's not that preaching will happen, thousands of people will hear you. Of course, we see that Prabhupada when came to Mumbai, 10,000, when he had Pandal program, 10,000 people used to attend in those days. When Krishna consciousness was infant stage in India. Even now, if you want to arrange a Pandal program, I can say that 10,000 people is not possible actually, seems to be. Maybe somewhere you can do, but then 10,000 people, it's very difficult to get. But in those days, when Prabhupada has only American or European disciples, and those days Prabhupada, and in 1972, but still they could have 10,000 people, 8,000 people, not only in Mumbai, but even Prabhupada arranged in Hyderabad also, and then Amritsar, and then Delhi also. So likewise, Prabhupada used to have 10,000 people, 8,000 people. How did it happen? How did it happen? Yes. Just like, last year we had Santulan, and His Grace Amog Leela Prabhu came there. And it was so struggle for, for all the youth preachers to even have 5,000 boys. 5,000 boys. And then we were doing enrollment since, 2-3 months. And it was very struggling actually. But here we see that Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki jai, Shri Shri Gaunitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. And we are talking about the age where, ISKCON is already brand name, and His Grace Amog Leela Prabhu is also a very famous personality. But still we couldn't have more than 3,000-4,000 people. But we are talking about a time when ISKCON was not even famous, nobody knows, and even those people who knew about Western people, they used to always cheat the Western disciples of Prabhupada. But still in those days, Prabhupada disciples, very, very enthusiastic disciples, could have 10,000 people in the Pandal program. So that's what Prabhupada always wanted, that enthusiasm is needed. One time, some of the devotees of disciples of Prabhupada kept Prabhupada books in the store, shop, and nobody was taking. Then Prabhupada told that my books will go by the enthusiasm of my disciples. So that's what enthusiasm is always needed. And that's what Prabhupada always focused upon. Now Arjuna is perplexed. He is perplexed about whether to fight or not to fight. After seeing in front of him his relatives with whom he was to fight, he was perplexed. And there was some argument with Krishna. Now here is a point. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada's voice is earnest, persuading. Sometimes his speech becomes high-pitched and breaks with urgency. His cultured British diction bears a heavy Bengali accent. Suddenly he pauses in his lectures and addresses someone in the room. Prabhupada, what is that? Man, what? Prabhupada, what is this book? Man, well, this is a translation of the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada is obviously displeased that while he is speaking, someone is looking through a book. This is hardly like the respect offered to learned speakers described in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Prabhupada, well, no, you can hear me. Man, I'm hearing. Prabhupada, yes, don't turn your attention, just hear me. He is taking the role of a teacher, correcting his student. Of course, there is no compelling reason why any of his casual guests should feel obliged to obey him. He simply begs for their attention and yet demands it. Just hear me, as he attempts to convince them of Krishna consciousness. You have heard that one must accept the spiritual master after careful examination, just as one selects a bride or a bridegroom after careful examination. In India, they are very careful because the marriage of the boys and girls takes place under the guidance of the parents. So the parents very carefully see to it. Similarly, one has to accept the spiritual master. It is necessary. According to Vedic injunctions, everybody should have a spiritual master. Perhaps you have seen a sacred thread. We have got sacred thread. Mr. Cohen, you have seen sacred thread? Prabhupada pauses. His audience has not noted the thin white cords. Cords. Sacred thread is called cord. Thin white cords he wears beneath his shirt across the upper part of his body. For thousands of years, Brahmanas in India have worn such threads placed diagonally across the torso, looped over the left shoulder and down to the right waist. A Brahmana holds his thread in his right hand while chanting the sacred Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day. But this is all strange indeed to the Americans. Prabhupada himself is exotic to them. His grey chadar wrapped around his shoulders, he sits cross-legged and erect on a thin pillow, and they sit facing him on the other side of his trunk, which now serves as a desk and lectern. They are close together in the narrowness of the room. So all these things were very, very exotic to all the people, because in America nobody sits like this actually. Nobody. If somebody is first time, they will find very struggle to sit like this. But for Indians, it's no. We're habituated right from our beginning of our childhood. We are supposed to sit like this, right? But Americans, they never sit like this. So when Prabhupada told them to sit like, because how do you sit? They used to spread their legs. Prabhupada is giving lectures, and you must have seen some videos of Prabhupada giving lectures, right? So they used to sit there. They are spreading their legs, right, facing to the Prabhupada. They never knew that what is the etiquette. Because they never have that sanskara. But being as an Indian, born in India, we are so fortunate actually. Right from our childhood, we are taught to follow such etiquettes. He is frail and small and foreign to them, yet somehow he is completely assured in a way that has nothing to do with being a foreigner in New York. Visitors sense his strong presence. 2 white lines of clay run neatly vertical on his forehead. His pale peach clothes are gathered in loose folds around his body. He pauses only for a few seconds to inquire whether they have seen a sacred thread. The sacred thread is a sign that a person has a spiritual master. Here, of course, there is no such distinction. But according to the Hindu system, a married girl also has some signs so that people can understand that this girl is married. She wears a red mark so that others may know that she is married. And according to the division in here, what is this line called? Man part. Prabhupada. Man part. Prabhupada, what is the spelling? Man, P-A-R-T. Prabhupada, part. This parting has also some meaning. They know English and he knows the Gita. But he knows a good deal of English, whereas they know practically nothing of the Gita, which he has to spoon feed to them. But occasionally he asks their help in English vocabulary. When the part is in the middle, then girl has her husband, and she is coming from a respectable family. And when the part is here, then she is a prostitute. With a slight gesture, he raises his hand toward, but never really reaching his head. Yet somehow the half gesture clearly indicates a part of the side of the head. And then again, when a girl is well dressed, it should be understood that she has her husband at home. And when she is not well dressed, it is to be understood that her husband is away from home. You see, and a widow's dress, there are so many symptoms. So similarly, the sacred thread is a sign that a person is accepted as spiritual master, just as the red mark symbolizes that a girl has a husband. So Prabhupada is preaching directly to the people who are all, who never knew all this. They are habituated to break all such principles, and Prabhupada is talking to, and telling such etiquettes that if woman has a part in the middle, then she has a husband. If she has she has part in the side, then she is a prostitute. And we can see today, nobody follows all this. But this is the etiquette which Prabhupada is telling. And then similarly, so Prabhupada says it's just like somebody has this sacred thread, that means he has a spiritual master. Just like you have seen that video of God's competitor by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So what he says, that this Kantimala and this sacred thread, it shows that I am the dog of my Guru, I am the dog of my spiritual master. So when we have this, that suggests that we have master. Like for example, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was saying one time that Prabhupada was walking in Juhu beach, and there was one dog. And then he was not having master. He was just like stray dog. And after some time, another man came with his dog. So then Prabhupada asked his disciples, so what is the difference between this dog and that dog? So nobody could answer. But then Prabhupada says, so this dog, one who is his master, he has his master. That means he's taken care well by the master. But the another dog, he's just a street dog. Nobody cares for him. Similarly, now then His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj remembers that he had gone Rishikesh to before also, and when he went with Prabhupada in 1976 or 7, I think 1976 also he went with Prabhupada. Then he remembers that I went both times, but both times were different, because earlier he went in the seek of spirituality there, but he couldn't find anything there actually, Rishikesh. He was staying in many different ashrams, but he was never impressed with the kind of spiritual practices they were having. At last, he went to Anandamayi Ma ashram, and there also she was like, they were impersonalists, of course, and she was like guru for all the people, all the men there, and. Of course, Maharaj was beginning, and like he doesn't know that what is. Those days he was seeking spirituality. So then Maharaj wanted to take initiation from that Mataji, but see what she tells. She sees Maharaj and she says, "No, I cannot give him initiation because he belonged to someone else, and he belonged to place in whose feet entire world can bow down." And then Maharaj couldn't understand this. Maharaj was saying that, he was disappointed in a way that, how can somebody reject me like this? But we know that whom Maharaj has to bend to, Prabhupada. So likewise we see that, there is a difference between if you have Guru and if you don't have Guru. If you have Guru, that means you have a master who can take care of. But if you don't have a Guru, when Maharaj went in, actually Maharaj was looking for some spirituality. He went to Germany. Somebody actually insulted India. that, India is full of people, they are starving. He's one of the friend whom Maharaj was staying. And Maharaj really looked it too hard that how can somebody tell like this? Then Maharaj says that, no, you cannot say like that. People are starving. Nobody dies in India because of starving. But rather, people in India, they don't care for material advancement because they are already caring for spiritual advancement. And then there are argument went to and fro, and that's where Maharaj felt the need of understanding the glory of India, that how Vedic culture of India was so rich. And that's where he started seeking for different places. He went to Haridwar and then he went to Rishikesh. But he couldn't find anything there. And later on, when he went, then he got frustrated. He told that, I'm searching for Guru, but God is not sending me Guru. So he got frustrated, and then he went back to his home in Calcutta. And that's where, he got a book. He got a book called Nectar of Devotion. And he just read in 3-4 days, and after some time, he's one of the friend, and his earlier friend, in those days he was Sarva Bhavana Prabhu. He met him, and then he invited him to come to Calcutta temple. And that's where Prabhu Maharaj started his journey, spiritual journey. But before that, he was not having any spiritual master. But he was really looking for it. So even many people, you may not find such things in India, but even many people in foreign, even today, they are also seeking for spirituality. So similarly, Maharaj was also seeking for the same. So the point what I'm making here is that there is a difference if you have master, if you don't have master. If you have master, that means you have to follow certain rules. He will take care of you. But if you don't have master, you may be free to do anything, but that is actually, we will be gliding down to the hell. Because we are not following any rules and regulations. But when we have a master, like for example, when we come to ISKCON, right from our beginning of Krishna consciousness, we are told to follow 4 regulatory principles. And we are following, that means we are taken care for. If you are not following, that nobody cares for you. Like that. Next. Yeah. Although his audience may be momentarily enamored by what appears to be description of Indian social customs, a careful listener can grasp the greater context of Prabhupada's speech. Everyone must accept a spiritual master. It is a heavy topic for a casual audience. What is the need of taking a spiritual master? Isn't this just for India? But he says everybody should have a spiritual master. What is a spiritual master anyway? Maybe he means that accepting a spiritual master is just another cultural item for Hinduism, like the thread or the part in the woman's hair or the widow's dress. The audience can easily regard his discussion as a kind of cultural exposition, just as one comfortably watches a film about the living habits of a people in a foreign land, although one has no intention of adopting these habits as one's own. The Swami is wearing one of those threads on his body, but that's for Hindus, and it doesn't mean that Americans should wear them. But these Hindus' beliefs are interesting. So yeah, today it has become like this only actually. Making Guru is like a fashion. Like I know many of my relatives, they have made their own Guru. But hardly they chant the mantra which their Guru has told them. Of course, Guru has not told Hare Krishna mantra, that's for sure. But whatever mantra he has told, Astakshari mantra or whatever mantra they have told, they never chant it. And they very proudly say that we have a Guru. So that means making Guru has become now a fashion, that everybody should have a Guru. Everybody should have a Guru, that's true, but you have to follow his instructions. You cannot disobey the instruction of Guru. Then what is the use of making Guru? Actually, Prabhupada has no motive but to present the absolute truth as he had heard in the disciplic succession. But if anyone in that railroad car-shaped room were to ask himself, should I surrender to the spiritual master? He would be confronted by the existential presence of a genuine Guru. One is free to regard his talk as one likes. In every step of one's life, the spiritual master guides. Now, to give such guidance, the spiritual master also should be a perfect man. Otherwise, how can he guide? Now, here Arjuna knows that Sri Krishna is a perfect person. So, therefore, he is accepting him. Sisyasti aham sadimam tvam prapannam. Sanskrit. No one knows a word of it. But there is never any question for Srila Prabhupada. Even if they don't understand it, the transcendental sound of Shastra will purify them. It is his authority and he cannot omit it. And even at first impression, it presents an air of scholarly authority, the original through foreign words of the sages. So this is how Srila Prabhupada teaches us that even though nobody understands, but still we should quote Shastras, we should quote shlokas in the if we are giving any speech, we should quote slokas, even they don't understand it, because that makes the authority of our speech, whatever we are giving. And Prabhupada is preaching to a place, they have never heard even a single word of Sanskrit. Right? Telugu is almost similar to Sanskrit. So we have heard lot of Sanskrit words right from our beginning. But they have never heard, but Prabhupada is still quoting the slokas. So similarly, His Grace Atul Krishna Prabhu says that if you have to give a lecture, then you should quote at least 10 slokas in your lecture. That means you get full marks. So that has to be there. Otherwise, he says, what we will speak, it has no authority actually. So we should quote slokas. Of course, not to show it off. We are not showing off someone, but then to show off to understand, to make the authority that yes, what am I speaking? It has some authority. I am just surrendering unto you, and you accept me as your disciple. Arjuna says, friendly talks cannot make a solution to perplexity. Friendly talks may be going on for years together, but no solution. So here Arjuna accepts Krishna as a spiritual master. This means that whatever Krishna will dictate, he has to accept. One cannot deny the order of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to select a spiritual master by whose orders one will not commit a mistake. Suppose you accept the wrong person as a spiritual master and he guides you wrongly, then your whole life is spoiled. So one has to accept a spiritual master whose guidance will make one's life perfect. That is the relationship between a spiritual master and a disciple. It's not formality. It is great responsibility both for the disciple and for the spiritual master. And yes, but nowadays, Prabhupada is making a point that, you should accept a spiritual master who is expert. But nowadays, spiritual master means YouTube videos. Whatever you are hearing from the YouTube stars, that's just become your guru. I mean, there are so many people in North India like that. And people have accepted them guru without understanding that who is he, which parampara he is coming from, and what is his lifestyle. And there are people who are so much famous, but they are Mayavadis, but nobody knows. Even our sometimes ISKCON devotees also fall prey to such people, and they accept them as guru, that he is such a nice person. But Srila Prabhupada never wanted it. See, what to speak of anything else? Srila Prabhupada never wanted his disciples to go to even Gaudiya Math. What to speak of anything else? Because Prabhupada used to say that, what if they speak one thing different from what I speak, your whole faith will be triggered out. So we should not hear such people. What are they speaking? First thing, even if you want to hear, first thing we should check that whether are they coming from any bona fide parampara or not. Otherwise, they may be very famous, they may be having thousands and lakhs of subscribers and followers, but it's just another dog is barking something. Should not hear something. What is the value of such a barking if they don't know anything? So we should always find whether I mean, it's very prevalent nowadays. People just want to see Instagram videos, YouTube videos, and they make them as a guru. Prabhu ji, mere bhi guru hai, maine inko guru banaya hai. And they've never met such people. They've never met them. So we should, Prabhupada never wanted it. If we want to be in ISKCON, we should follow Prabhupada's instructions. We should never accept such a person as guru. Already we have such a glorious devotees in ISKCON who are such dedicated disciples of Prabhupada. So how can we make someone else as those third class people as guru? The whole parampara, the way Prabhupada has continued his legacy in his disciples also. There are people like completely dedicated to Guru's mission, like His Holiness. Just like Prabhupada was not sleeping, we know many of Prabhupada disciples, they were not also sleeping. Like for example, when His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj was translating Prabhupada's books from English to Bengali, Maharaj was hardly sleeping actually. Hardly sleeping. Similarly, His Holiness Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj, and you see likewise so many disciples of Prabhupada. Jayanand Prabhu, now we have Rath Yatra coming. Jayanand Prabhu was not sleeping for 4 days continuously when it came to make Jagannath Rath Yatra cart. So how is it possible if they are not coming in a legacy of Prabhupada, and somebody else can say, no, my guru is only Prabhupada? How can you say like this? And then there are so many videos in YouTube blaspheming them, and even we as a devotee, we also see them, and then we also start doubting such. Yesterday I saw one boy, and then he was keeping a status of such a person who is criticizing proper disciple. How can you do that? You are getting knowledge from proper disciples. You are coming to know about Prabhupada from proper disciples. Right now you are sitting here because of Prabhupada disciples, and then you are criticizing Prabhupada disciples. I mean, there is no gratefulness. If one person is not following rules and regulations, that does mean that everybody is not following rules and regulation? I mean, how can somebody, there are so many videos and definitely there, but then how can you watch them without knowing that who is making that video? So we should be very careful not to, if we are watching such videos, actually we are also blasphemer. We are also criticizing. So we should be very careful not to commit Vaishnava aparadha and watching such videos. Because you may fall into a place where you will start doubting everybody. So we should be very careful and have complete faith in the Guru Parampara, whatever we have, Guru Parampara. They are completely dedicated. We have seen His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, their body is falling apart, but they cannot just stop. Unstoppable. And then another person says that, no, they are bogus. How can they say like that? So we should be very, very careful. Prabhupada, yes, so the first thing is that one should be searching after a spiritual master. Just as you search after some school, you must at least have some preliminary knowledge of what a school is. You cannot search for a school and go to a clothes shop. If you are so ignorant that you do not know what is a school and what is a clothes shop, then it will be very difficult for you. You must know at least what a school is. So that knowledge is like this. Tat vijnanartam sagurum eva vigachet samitmani shrotiyam brahmanishtam. According to this verse, the spiritual master is required for a person who is inquisitive about transcendental knowledge. There is another verse in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Tasmad gurum prapaddeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. One should search after a spiritual master if one is inquisitive about transcendental subject matters. Unless one is at least conversant with preliminary knowledge of transcendental matters, how can he inquire from the spiritual master? His questioner seems satisfied. The lecture is not prepared speech on a specific subject. Though grave and thorough in scholarship, it ranges over several philosophical points. Yet he never pauses, groping for words. He knows exactly what he wants to say, and it is only a question of how much his audience can take. But sometimes his mood is light, and he commiserates with his fellow New Yorkers, chuckling about the difficulties this year. Suppose there is a heavy snowfall. The whole New York city is flooded with snow, and you are all put into inconvenience. There is a sort of suffering, but you have no control over it. Sometimes he praises Dr. Mishra's students for having learned it so nicely from their teacher. Now what Dr. Mishra is teaching is very nice. He is teaching that first of all you must know, who am I? That is very good. But that who am I can be known from Bhagavad Gita also. I am not this body. And sometimes a guest suddenly speaks out with an irrelevant question, and the Swami patiently tries to consider it. Yet behind his tolerance, Prabhupada's mode is always one of the urgency. Sometimes he talks quickly, and one senses his desire to establish Krishna consciousness in the West as soon as possible. He has no followers, only a few books, no temples, and he openly states that he is racing against time. I am an old man. I could leave at any time. So behind the formal delivery of Krishna consciousness is an anxiety, an almost desperate desire to convince at least one soul to take up Krishna consciousness immediately. Now the constrained situation of Butler and Ananda Ashram and Dr. Mishra are behind him. He is free to speak about the absolute truth is full. Throughout his life he is prepared for this, yet he is still discovering the best ways to present Krishna, exploring his Western audience, testing their reactions. We should always remember that he is God. He is all powerful. In his strength, no one could conquer him. In beauty, as far as beauty is concerned, when he was on the battlefield, have any of you seen a picture of Krishna? Have you seen? Have any of you ever seen Krishna? Oh no. Prabhupada's voice fades as he pauses. Looking out at his audience, no one has ever seen Krishna. None of them have the slightest previous knowledge of Lord Krishna. In India, hundreds of millions worship Lord Krishna daily as the eternal form of all beauty and truth, and his graceful form in sculpture, painting, and dance. His philosophical teachings in Bhagavad Gita are all famous, and Prabhupada is his intimate imagery. Yet the ladies and gentlemen in room 307 look back at the Swami blankly. Prabhupada is discussing the real meaning of going to a sacred place in India. One should go to a sacred place in order to find some intelligent scholar in spiritual knowledge living there and make association with him. Just like my residence is at Vrindavan. So at Vrindavan, there are many big scholars and saintly persons living. So one should go to such holy places not simply to take bath in the water. One must be intelligent enough to find some spiritually advanced man living there and take instructions from him and benefited by that. Which sloka is this? Which verse? Yeah. यस्यात्म बुद्धि कुनपेत धातके स्वदि कलत्रादि शुभम एज्जदि यतीर्थ बुद्धि सलेन न करे चेत जने स्वभिज्ञेषु स एव गोखरा. So Prabhupada mentions that people understand that my body is made, means I am only kapha pitta vayu. They never understand that they are soul. And for them, place of pilgrimage means if there is any water reservoir. Now, for example, today we can very clearly see it, right? People go to a place of pilgrimage just for taking bath in the river. No inquiry, what is the purpose of coming here? The purpose of only coming to a place only to take bath in the river, and that's it. Even I have seen in my childhood, we used to go to Ganga like sometimes and then just take bath and come back. इतना जल्दी सब कुछ रहता था, जल्दी जाओ नहा के तुरंत आ जाओ. कुछ इंक्वायरी नहीं है, कुछ साधुओं से नहीं मिलना है, कुछ nobody knows that. But no, Srila Prabhupada taught us that how, what a pilgrimage means. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani swanta istena gadabhrata. Devotees are pilgrimage personified. So even if you don't go to pilgrimage place, but if you are hearing from a devotees, if you are happen to hear from advanced devotees, that it itself pilgrimage personified. And Prabhupada demonstrated it through his own example. Where? When it came to, that you have options, now you can go to the darshan of Sesasai temple, Sesasai Vishnu temple, or you can hear from your Guru Maharaj. And Prabhupada chose to be pilgrimage personified Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He did not go to Sesasai Vishnu, take darshan for. So for us, wherever devotees stay or wherever the discourse on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is happening, that is the pilgrimage place for us. And that's where Aswan-like devotees will stay. And where now there are so many people who are going to so-called pilgrimage places, for example, but what are they talking about there for? Like for example, I went 6 years back with my family to one pilgrimage place. And I was so reluctant to be there with them. Because they are only talking about iski burai, uski burai, ye karna. मतलब वहाँ पे तीर्थ स्थल पे जा रहे हैं और फिर भी बुराई करना है लोगों का. समझ में आ रहा है? तो आजकल के लोग तीर्थ स्थलों में जाएंगे, गंगा स्नान करने जाएंगे, उज्जैन जाएंगे, बहुत सारी जगह पे जाएंगे, लेकिन वहाँ पे भी उनका वो बुराई भलाई नहीं छूटता है. So what is the point you are going there, right? We should go to a place where we should talk about Krishna. And I have seen even in Govardhan Parikrama, we used to give many times, but people are just talking about themselves. They are busy talking about themselves. No talk of Krishna. So, this is of no use if we do such things. But when we go to any pilgrimage place, we should make a point to hear about Krishna. Actually, no moment should be wasted if we are not talking about Krishna in such a place. But completely opposite definition has been, pilgrimage place means now completely opposite. It's just a pilgrimage place, and you can throw your garbage there and also talk garbage there and become garbage again. That is called Kunjaro Soch, as Pariksit Maharaj talks about it. If a man has attachment for going to a place of pilgrimage to take a bath but has no attraction for hearing from learned people there, he is considered to be an ass. Sa eva gokhara. Gu means cow and khara means ass. So the whole civilization is moving like a civilization of cows and asses. Everybody is identifying with the body. Yes, you want to speak? Woman. In the places known as the sacred places, Prabhupada. Sacred? Yes. Woman, is it sacred places? Prabhupada, yes. Woman, isn't it also a fact that there is more magnetism because of the meeting of saint and more advanced people? Prabhupada, oh yes, certainly. Therefore the place itself has got some magnetism. Woman, yes, and when? Prabhupada, just like at Vrindavan. That is practical. Here I am now sitting in New York, the world's greatest city. Such a magnificent city. But my heart is always hankering after that Vrindavan. Woman, yes. Prabhupada, yes, I am not happy here. Woman, yes, I know. Prabhupada, I shall be very happy to return to my Vrindavan, that sacred place. But then why are you here? Now because it is my duty. I have brought some message for you people because I have been ordered by my superior, my spiritual master, Whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries and you must distribute this knowledge. So in spite of all my difficulties, all my inconveniences, I'm here because I'm obligated by my duty. If I go and sit down in Vrindavan, that will be good for my personal conveniences. I shall be very comfortable there and I will have no anxiety, nothing of the sort. But I have taken all the risk in these old days because I'm duty bound. I'm duty bound, so I have to execute my duty despite all my inconveniences. So Prabhupada says that why is he here? The Prabhupada could nicely, as of course we know all this, but then Prabhupada could nicely stay in Vrindavan. But then why he went to such an inconvenient place? To preach the message of which was given by his Guru and Lord Chaitanya. So similarly, we also want to sometimes also want to come, just like today only we are going to Mayapur. And many devotees, they would definitely want to visit here and there. And right now there are devotees, they always want to go to some pilgrimage place. They don't want to take any responsible seva. Because sometimes 10 days Vrindavan, 10 days Mayapur, and likewise they just keep roaming around. But they never understand, or they never even meditate that what is the instruction which is given by their superiors. Rather than visiting such pilgrimage place, we should try to follow the instructions which is given by superiors. And that will be much more beneficial, rather than just roaming around here and there. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is telling, that why he could have been nicely in Vrindavan. But then he chose to go to America to follow the instruction of his superiors. An outsider opens the door and hesitantly glances inside. Prabhupada, yes, come in, you can come here. So we'll just read for 2-3 more paragraphs and we'll stop. Robert Nelson was like a slow, simple country boy with a homespun manner. Even though he had grown up in New York City, he was 20 years old. He wasn't part of the growing hippie movement. He didn't take marijuana or other drugs. And he didn't socialize much. He was a loner. He had gotten some technical questions at Staten Island Community College and had tried his hand at the record manufacturing business. But without much success, he was interested in God and would attend various spiritual meetings around the city. So one night he wandered into the Yoga Society to hear Dr. Mishra's lecture. And there he saw Prabhupada for the first time. So now Robert remembers. Swami was sitting cross-legged on a bench. So you see that if they will remember, they will definitely mention this. The Swami was sitting cross-legged because it was unusual. There was a meeting and Dr. Mishra was standing up before a group of people. There were about 50 people coming there. And he talked on, I am consciousness. Dr. Mishra talked and then gave Swami a grand introduction with a big smile. Swamiji is here, he said, and he swings around and waves his hand for a big introduction. It was beautiful. This was after Dr. Mishra spoke for about an hour. The Swami didn't speak, he sang a song. Afterward, I went up to him, he had a big smile and he said that he likes young people to take to Krishna consciousness. He was very serious about it and he wanted all young people. So I thought that was very nice. It made sense. I wanted to help. We stood there talking for about an hour. Mishra had a library in the back. Had a library in the back, and we looked at certain books, Arjuna, Krishna, chariots, and things, and then we walked around. We looked at some of the pictures of Swamijis on the wall. By the time it was getting very late, and Prabhupada said, "Come back the next day at 10 to his office downstairs." The next day, when Robert Nelson went to room 307, Prabhupada invited him in. The room was clearly not intended to serve as a living quarters. There was no toilet, shower, chair, bed, or telephone. The walls were painted a dark, dismal color. Prabhupada showed Robert the 3-volume set of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which Robert purchased for $16.5. Then Prabhupada handed him a small piece of paper with a Hare Krishna mantra printed on it. So this we have now mantra cards. So that style is coming from Prabhupada only. Prabhupada introduced it. He has written the mantra. So Robert, while Swamiji was handling it to me, he had his big smile on his face like he was handling me in the world. We spent the whole day together. At one point he said, "We are going to take a sleep." So he lay down there by his little desk. And so I said, "I am tired too." So I lay down at the other end of the room and we rested. I just lay on the floor. It was the only place to do it. But he didn't rest that long, an hour and a half. I think, and we spent the rest of the day together. He was talking about Lord Chaitanya and Lord's pastimes, and he showed me a small picture of Lord Chaitanya. Then he started talking about the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda and Advaita. He had a picture of 5 of them and picture of the spiritual master. He said some things in Sanskrit and then he translated. It wasn't much of a room, though you would really be disappointed if you saw it. So here we see that how Prabhupada was living in such a simple living. Now, whenever you want to sleep, you can, now Prabhupada, where he has to sleep? Very nice question. It is just a bare floor, Prabhupada has to sleep. And then this hippie, I mean, of course he was not hippie, but a normal, ordinary man. And he's also sleeping by the side of Prabhupada. Can you imagine Bird Acharya? Here is a Bird Acharya, and he's just normally ordinary person, and he's sharing a room with Prabhupada. So here through all this we can understand that how much Srila Prabhupada was struggling and tolerating all this, novice people in Krishna consciousness. They were all new, but Prabhupada was tolerating. But there are some instances where Prabhupada did not tolerate. For example, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj remembers one time. So one time it was in Juhu, of course 1976 or maybe 1976. So Prabhupada was in Juhu and Maharaj was personally serving Prabhupada. So Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and Upendra Prabhu and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, they used to have shift. 12 to 2, Upendra Prabhu will be there for Prabhupada. No, 10 to 12, Upendra Prabhu will remain awake for Prabhupada, because Prabhupada may need anything at night. And then 12 to 2, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and 2 to 4, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So like that they had a shift, and they were personally serving Maharaj, Prabhupada. So one time Prabhupada after breakfast, Prabhupada told that I want orange juice. And so Maharaj checked in the kitchen and there were no oranges. And so he has to go to market and fetch the orange. So by the time Maharaj comes back with the oranges, again bell rang. Because in those days, Prabhupada used to have bell. If he needs something, he used to just ring the bell. So first time bell rang, after that Maharaj went to market and he fetched the oranges. After when Maharaj came back from the market and again the bell rang. And then again Prabhupada told, what happened to the orange juice? He told Prabhupada, it was, I'm just getting it. And then after some time, by the time Maharaj is making the orange juice getting ready, and then again bell rang, and it continuously rang for almost 2-3 minutes. Maharaj remembered that it was almost like Prabhupada is not angry, bell is angry upon me, because bell is continuously ringing. And now Maharaj knew that Prabhupada is definitely going to chastise me like anything. And because now bell is continuously ringing, and he just prepared the orange juice, kept on the plate, poured in the glass and kept on the plate, and went in front of Prabhupada. And now he definitely knew that Prabhupada is going to become, devastate him, and that's what happened. Prabhupada told, he was very angry, and Prabhupada did not even look at him. Take it away, I don't want it. And Maharaj was completely now what to do. But Maharaj still just kept, just like this is a plate, so Maharaj just kept it plate like this in front of Prabhupada. He did not speak a word, but just kept in front of Prabhupada like this. And after some time, it was must be 1-2 minutes at least. After some time, Prabhupada picked it up to the relief of Maharaj. Maharaj got relieved. Now, but to the surprise of, because when you are serving Prabhupada, you should have, you have given orange juice, but there should be something to wash the mouth of Prabhupada. And after that, you should have a towel to clean the hands of Prabhupada. But then Maharaj was in so much hurry, he couldn't get. And then by the time Prabhupada drank the orange juice, he realized, there is no bowl for washing the mouth. He immediately rushed into the kitchen and got the bowl of water. And then now he realized by the time Prabhupada is washing his mouth, by the time he realized that there is no towel either. So then he, rather than going to kitchen back, he just pulled a towel from the kitchen, from the Prabhupada's room itself, and then he gave it to Prabhupada. And now I will just read that thing, that what Prabhupada told after that. It was such a emotional, by which Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was into tears. Yeah. this is what Prabhupada says. You are trying to serve me so nicely, Prabhupada said, but often I chastise you. Please don't mind when I chastise. You see, when one gets old, one becomes short-tempered. I had not felt bad when Prabhupada had chastised me, but when he started to speak like that, I felt like my heart was breaking. I tried to beg him not to concern himself, but my voice was choked. I couldn't speak. Finally, tears rolling down my cheeks. I managed to whisper, "Still, Prabhupada, I made mistakes, and if you don't correct me, what will happen to me?" He stopped. I could feel the softness of his heart, even though we were his disciples, ready to take any amount of chastisement from him, our Guru. As a display of his mercy, he was apologizing in such a humble way. That was my glorious spiritual master. More brilliant than millions of suns, yet so humble and compassionate, the most caring person I have ever met. So this is what Bhakti Charu Maharaj says about Prabhupada. So this is how Prabhupada is so caring, even though he has full authority to chastise his disciples, but still he is also apologizing that I get short-tempered sometimes. And to such a Guru, his disciples were also very, very much reciprocating. And if to such disciples, if somebody says that they are not disciples, I mean, how can somebody say like that? There's so much love for Prabhupada. They are ready to, Maharaj says that Prabhupada disciples were ready to jump from the top for Prabhupada. If Prabhupada said that jump from the top, they were ready to do so. Jump in the river, they were ready to do so. Sometimes Prabhupada wanted one thing, and there are 3-4 disciples, and Sitaram Prabhu was saying that other day, that Prabhupada wanted, I think, dry fruits, and it was not available in the kitchen. And 3-4 disciples, all 3 of them went with different cars, and all 3 of them came together and gave it to Prabhupada. All 3 of them. This is what they loved Prabhupada. And if somebody else comes and tells them they don't have love, I mean, what authority you are speaking upon? So we should never hear such people who are blaspheming Prabhupada disciples. They have given up their life for Prabhupada. And Prabhupada loved them so much. Prabhupada loved to an extent that Prabhupada, if somebody is criticizing, Prabhupada never wanted it. For example, one time, Sarva Bhavana Prabhu, who is pioneering in bringing Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj into Krishna consciousness. So one time, some Indian devotees were superficially they were mistreated by Vaishnava disciples of Prabhupada. They were mistreated. So then Sarva Bhavana Prabhu, also Indian, and then he went with another disciples of Prabhupada to complain about Vaishnava disciples. That your Vaishnava disciples are misbehaving with us. And then what Prabhupada told? Prabhupada told very nice, I will correct them. No, Prabhupada told that this is bodily consciousness. Complaining about somebody is bodily consciousness. You don't see that, you see that how much they're dedicated. They are given up everything for me, and they are trying to preach Krishna consciousness, even though there may be some faults in their behavior. They may not be so perfect in behaving certain times, but that doesn't mean that, you should blaspheme them. So if they have some flaws, you just tolerate them. And that's what Prabhupada always, he always, he always protected his disciples in a sense that they should never be criticized. And there are a lot of instances like that. For example, another time Prabhupada went to Jaipur, and there was some South Indian Brahmanas. They were telling that Prabhupada, your disciples' pronunciation is not perfect. And what Prabhupada told? Prabhupada never told, yes, I will teach them. Their pronunciation is not perfect. He was not into that. Prabhupada told, yes, their pronunciation may not be perfect, but their enunciation is perfect. So Prabhupada always was so much fond of his disciples. And if somebody criticizes such disciples of Prabhupada, how can Prabhupada tolerate? Right? And they say that, and if somebody says that I am doing it for the pleasure of Prabhupada, but Prabhupada will not like it actually, if you criticize some disciples of Prabhupada. So be very, very careful not to criticize anybody, those who have dedicated their life for the sake of Srila Prabhupada. So have full respect for them, and of course, we should not criticize other people also. We should not criticize anybody actually. We are not here to criticize. Rather, we are here to serve Prabhupada and mission of Prabhupada. We are not here to criticize anybody. We should not criticize even the other people who are criticizing us. Right? Like there is a saying in Hindi, you must have heard it. Jo toku kaante buve, baku wo tu fool. Toku fool ke fool hain, baku hain trishul. So even though somebody may criticize you, but we should not criticize them. Because why should we spoil our consciousness by criticizing them? But rather we should be busy in serving Prabhupada and Prabhupada's mission. So there is no time to criticize somebody else. So we'll stop here. We can continue next Ekadasi. If anybody has any questions or comments, we can take now. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta ki, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Brahmanande.